Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. As most of you know, Robert Sylvester Kelly is on trial for racketeering and other said crimes against children, women, in the state of New York. He's attending trial in Brooklyn, New York, as I speak. This week is the third week and the third day of the week, Wednesday. I will bring you more information pertaining to what was said in court today, but this video that I'm bringing to you is pertaining to the dark life of Robert Kelly. Who is Robert Kelly? Who is Robert Kelly? Many people thought they knew Robert Kelly. Some people still think they know Robert Sylvester Kelly, R. Kelly. But I'm here to tell you, you do not know him. Because you see, you don't know anyone. He has been accused of many crimes. He has been accused of raping children, boys and girls. He has been accused of abusing boys and girls. He's also been accused of abusing women, men. Many allegations have come forward recently in the said trial against him and over the years. And over the years, people turned a blind eye to his deviant behavior with children and girls, boys, adults. You can weigh the story however you see fit. You can remain a fan if you see fit. But one thing you cannot deny is that Robert Kelly has a problem. He is a problem. He is his own problem, his own worst enemy. And these things that have been said about him, allegations, I believe most are true. I do believe that most are true. I believe that he is a sadist. I believe he is a walking, talking psychopath. That he does what he feels like, whenever he feels like, and he has no remorse for how he has treated people in general, because that has come out in the trial. That he doesn't have a good temperament. That he flies off the handle. He's a narcissist. He's a sadist. He has a grand sexual appetite for sex, different types of sex with different types of people. And also the usage of bodily fluids, which is vile and disgusting. But that is who he is. So whether you like him or don't like him, you still listen to the music, you still believe in Robert Kelly. The one thing you cannot deny is that he is a sadist, and that he is sick, and he has no business walking the street ever. Not now, not never. Because if he has no remorse and he doesn't get any help for his deviant behavior, he will go out and reoffend. That is the spoken word. It is obvious. I've been baffled by the things that have been said about Robert Kelly in the past week. Last week's testimony pertaining to one of the women rubbing fecal matter on their face and putting it in their mouth at the request of Robert was so vile. And even in that moment, listening to that said information, I thought to myself, when were you going to ever leave him? Because my thing is, at some point, you knew he was not right. When he introduced you into the fold of his lifestyle, you saw who he is. You saw what he was about. You saw his temperament. The fact that he introduced you to other women, girls, should have been sign number one. If you weren't that type to get down with sleeping with other females, homosexuality, bisexuality, you should have folded and said, this isn't for me, I've got to get out of here. You didn't even have to tell him you were leaving. When you had a chance to exit a door, yes, you should have exited. Why sell your soul to the devil when you don't have to? And yes, many women are abused by men in general. And let me make that clear. Many women are abused by men every day. And they stay with them. The only difference is their name isn't R. Kelly. The introduction to sex with other women, men, as I stated, should have been, hey, sign number one, I got to get the hell out of here. I don't know what came first. The deviant sexual acts or the introduction with other said parties of the same sex, opposite sex. But in the beginning, when you saw things you did not like about Robert Kelly, you should have folded and got out of there. But that's neither here nor there because that's the past. And you can't go back into time. When you hear the allegations pertaining to Robert Kelly, dealing with children, dealing with the fact that he was also molested as a child by his own sister, by a male neighbor. The fact that you're hearing allegations of him soliciting young boys, sleeping with young boys, videotaping young boys having sex with other females, other parties, whomever. He also engaging in sex with the boys, then as men, other men, girl children, women, menage a trois, however it goes. You have to ask yourself the one ultimate question that many of you probably have not even thought about, whether you're a fan or not, is if he has touched his own children. Ah, yes, you forgot about that. Robert Kelly is a father to a boy and a girl. And if I am right on the money of a child who was molested by two different parties, God forbid more, that same child grows up to be an offender of girl children, boy children, deviant sexual acts with grown-up women and men. Why would I not believe he didn't touch his own children? You have to stay woke. His sexual appetite is great, greater than most. He doesn't even have a preference, and that is dangerous. You see, it is one thing to be a whore, a male whore, or a female whore, and sleep with anybody and everybody. You don't even have a preference. You don't even care. You just want to have sex. It's worse when it's of the same sex. It's worse when it is with children under age 18. It is worse when you want it to be group sex, deviant sex, sex involving fecal matter, urine. You see where I'm going? The appetite is greater than most. So why would I not think a human with an appetite greater than most will not also sexually assault their own children? Because you see, he is a product of child molestation. He went on to rape girls and boys, abuse women and men, verbally abuse his staff. So why would I think in my right mind he wouldn't be the same individual to assault his own children? And I'm asking that now. I'm curious to know if Robert Sylvester Kelly has assaulted his own children, because he is a monster. He is sick. And the testimony that has been brought forth by many people in the court in the past 3 weeks have spun that web, that he is deviant, he is mean-spirited, he has a temper, he flies off the handle, he craves sex like people crave water, food, air to breathe. And that is a very dangerous person, because there's no end in sight for a deviant mind that cannot be sexually gratified. And that is obvious with Robert Kelly. He cannot be sexually gratified with anyone. The fact that he needed several women to live in the house together, the fact that they complied is baffling to me. Why would you comply to living in the house? See, that was first and foremost. Once you got there and saw there were other women, you should have wanted to turn around. You see, it's one thing to be abused by a man and you're the only woman and you choose to stay. But why in the hell would you choose to stay with just other women in the house, abuse or no abuse? Why would you want to be number 2, number 3, number 4, knowing when he steps outside the door, he's still hunting children and women and men? That is Robert Kelly. He is a hunter. He is a beast, a dirty beast, and his appetites cannot be fulfilled with one person. He needs several. He needs victims to make himself feel great, greater than, to be important, to be validated. But he has sold his soul to the devil to be absolutely nobody. A bottom feeder, a loser, a bum, a sadist, a psychopath. You see, that is the gist of the story. That it doesn't matter about the money and the fame and the accolades and the rewards and the awards and the fancy homes and materialistic items. Usually they don't bring most people happiness. Maybe in the beginning, but usually not in the end. And I think that's obvious with Robert Kelly, a man who has been alleged to not even be able to read and write, was never satisfied as a human being. And we can still use present tense, is not satisfied, because I doubt that he has any remorse for the crimes that he has committed against said persons. He was never a happy person. That was the purpose of him hanging outside of a high school, lurking and hunting children, girl children, possibly boy children as well. His own brother attested that he made a pass at him. He's a deviant. He is sick. And it has been proven through studies, stats, that a rapist, child molester, serial killer cannot be cured. And I think I believe that. Because many people who have offended in these said arenas have said that if they were to be turned loose, released from jail and or prison, they would re-offend. Because the desire is too great. Too great to change. Because they like who they are, what they have become. And I do believe Robert Kelly likes who he is. At 54, he likes being a savage. That is what he is. I sat to myself and I thought, with all that was said the past couple of weeks, how does he feel? Does he feel anything? Does he feel remorse? Don't you feel shame of what these people have said about you? Why in the world would you want people to know that you have involved yourself with fecal matter and urine on another person, asking or demanding a person to put said things in their mouth, their face, their body? Why in the world would you ever want to participate in said deviant, vile, disgusting, barbaric behavior? You have let the world know you don't even care about yourself. You don't care about others. You're vile. You've been tainted a long time ago. You've been tainted a long time ago. And you have taken that disgusting taintedness out into the world and inflicted it on others who allowed themselves to be your victims. And I pray that these people can move past this. Because I also said to myself yesterday, after doing my commentary pertaining to Robert Kelly, how could any of these women have a decent relationship with a man after dealing with Robert Kelly? Being abused physically, mentally, sexually, verbally. How could they ever deal with another human being in a diplomatic fashion? You would have to ask yourselves that. How could they? Will they be able to have a whole, wholesome relationship with another person? I'll say person because I don't know their sexual preferences. And is that an issue too? Could it be the women now like women? See, there's so many facets to this Robert Kelly saga. Do now the women like women? Do they desire to be in a relationship with a woman? What are their thoughts on this trial? Do they see any remorse in Robert Kelly? Does Robert Kelly have any remorse for these said crimes against children, women, and men? Or is he sitting back saying, they think they got me, but they don't. They think they know me, but they do not. They do not know Robert Kelly. But yes, we know of you now, sir. We know of you now. We know that you were a product of sexual assaults, child molestation. We know that you went into the world and became the very thing that was done to you And we see that over the years, you had no remorse and you never cared about yourself or your victims. And that you have been a liar, a thief, and a fraud. You are a grand narcissist. You are a savage. You are a beast. You are vile. And you are an empty vessel that has been allotted time to roam the earth, to harm others, with the care and diligence of willing participants who aided you. And yes, you all are vile as well. Those who worked for him and watched the behavior of Robert exacted upon the women, men, children, and yourselves, the rudeness, the arrogance, the narcissistic behavior, you rode the ride for your wooden nickels. And what do you have now? What does Robert Kelly have now? I feel sorry for his children because I can't even see at this moment those said children even having a whole relationship with him. And what do they think now of him? What does Miss Drea think now of the said information? Did she even know of the behavior of Robert, the deviant side, the side that we're now hearing from other people? Why did she ride the ride so many years with Robert Kelly? And did Robert Kelly sexually assault his children? Because I got a feeling he probably has. And that is a horrible allegation. But when you look at what has been said about Robert's personal background as a child being offended by grown-ups and his own sister, why would I think he wouldn't touch his own children? And will we ever hear from them that he touched them? And it's a sick thing to even think about, but it crossed my mind, such as bestiality, sleeping with a corpse. Those are the two things Robert Kelly has not been reportedly. No one has said he's done those things. But I said to myself, with all that's been said that he's been accused of, homosexuality, bisexuality, verbal abuse, physical abuse, abuse with bodily fluids, menage a trois, group sex. The only thing we haven't heard him being accused of is bestiality, sex with an animal and a dead person. And it is warped thinking to even have to even consider those last two options. And thirdly, offending his own children. But he has the mindset to commit those last three because he is a sick person. And as I state, he has been offended by sister and a neighbor in the past. So he has the propensity to sexually assault his own children. Why would he not? As I said, the deviant behavior weighs greater than rationale, common sense, and respect. Nothing is taboo with Robert Kelly. You can continue to rally for him if you like. I've been lost respect for Robert Kelly when I watched Surviving R. Kelly, the documentary. I knew everyone was not lying. And to me, it doesn't matter that the children went back and forth to Robert's house, home, wherever, around the world with him. They were children. And if they became adults and still were in his company, well, the tone had been set. And this behavior happens with many women and men dealing with people who they have gotten in cahoots with. They've got some sick fascination with the person, and they've gotten accustomed to being violated. And we all have been violated by someone and continue to be in their presence, be it sexually, verbally, mentally, financially. It is all the same. They just didn't have Robert Kelly's name behind them. If you want to donate to the channel and the dream of everyday shenanigans, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. I want to thank you all for joining me. I will bring you another video pertaining to the court trial today, Wednesday, third week, and I will give that upload to the network when said information has been put out later this evening. Join me here shortly on a live pertaining to a man out of Ohio who murdered 9 of his neighbors. A very ill man, a very disturbed man. Did he do this? Did he commit these heinous crimes of murder, arson to the neighbors? Or is he being set up, the fall guy? You can watch continual coverage of this said information on Court TV on YouTube. And you can also follow me, Everyday Shenanigans, with an update pertaining to this said trial that is transpiring right now in the state of Ohio. I want to thank you all for joining me, following me, subscribers. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you all so much for following the dream, giving your commentary on a community post. I appreciate it. But before I check out of here, I want to say everyone is entitled to his or her opinion of any said matter. But there comes a point when too many people are hollering the same thing. 9 times out of 10, there's some truth to what is being said about that said person. And in the end, they are just words. You define who you are, whether you are liked or disliked. But the one thing I do not do is condone abuse of another human, abuse of a child in any form, or anyone who aids an abuser. And these people aided Robert Kelly. And there's no doubt about that. He was afforded the opportunity to have help in abusing children and men and women. And so to even go in court testifying against him really means nothing, because most of you who are testifying will be given immunity for your testimony because you also committed said crimes with and or dealing with Robert Sylvester Kelly. So you are no better than Robert Kelly. Thank you all for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.